As you know, BRE Trust, in collaboration with G4C, is funding this research project, and the topic is open data. So how can open data help the construction industry to overcome the issues that we are facing, ahead of the 2025 milestone? So my first question really is, what's open data?
Sure, that's absolutely fine. The key difference with open data versus any other type of information is that it's released. Open data is any data which an organisation chooses to share and make available to other people with no use restrictions, no licensing concerns, just raw information. The important thing that you have with open data is that it's also reusable. Alongside, there's no point just releasing all of the information you have in a series of Word documents or pieces of paper which you pin up to the door of your office. What you need to do is to make things available online. You need to make them available in a way which people can reuse. A good example from a local authority perspective would be a typical piece of open data would be, say, here's the location of every adventure playground within our borough. The equivalent piece of big data might say, here's the number of children who visit it, here's the times they visited it, here's the items they used in that adventure playground. Big data doesn't have to be open. If you're a construction company, you will deal with a lot of information that's big data. You don't have to release that, but you can do. There's not a one-to-one relationship between the two.
What has been the case in the past is that open data from government has the strongest reason to be released, i.e. we pay our taxes, so give us the data we paid for, which has meant that government, particularly central government, has taken a lead in releasing open data. But in recent years, we've seen that industry and the third sector are also coming on board. They're realizing that their data has a fundamental value and a power which can only be unlocked by opening it up to the general public and to public view.
Knowledge is being created at a local level and owned at a local level, and individuals have access online to authoritative bodies, whether it's Wikipedia or whether it's an industry they can access by email. All of this is undermining the traditional authority of going to the library to get your data, going to your politician to understand the issues, going to the doctor to get a diagnosis. And I think as a professional you have to start to understand that authority is as much at the local level, as much at the low level as you like, as it is at the high level, and that you have to learn to understand the inputs from both.
Yeah. So I guess that's one of the key things about open data in the energy sector at the moment is it's a struggle for a lot of the incumbent players to even understand what it is, because they're almost the fires that they're fighting are almost one layer before that, about okay, we need to get data first. We need smart meters. We need to be able to handle having lots of data, and I guess the value add around having open data isn't even in their brainwaves at the moment, I don't think.
There's a perception that you need to protect data, that data is like gold or oil, that once you let it out there, it's gone. Someone else has got the value. But data doesn't work like that. Releasing it in no way harms its value to you, because you still have the access to it. What it does is it potentially creates additional value for you or for the industry as a whole by sharing that information across different providers of construction all through the supply chain. It's possible to build greater value for the industry in terms of where the skills are and making sure they're properly met than you would ever have if everyone held on to their own data. So getting that data out there is not just a selfless action, it's not corporate social responsibility, it's also a competitive advantage. Getting people using your data, having a conversation around your information is a commercial benefit.
The opportunities bit is one thing that BRE has probably not thought of before, in terms of that we do a lot of measuring and a lot of measuring of sustainability data, for instance, or we do a lot of measuring and testing of products and construction products. Right now I think BRE's maybe waking up to the idea that huge body of data can be reused. It can be used for different things. It could be used to make the process much leaner, much smarter. It could be used to improve the process. It could be used just to show how different parts of the process, I'm talking, say for instance, about brain, different parts of the process could be integrated with other open data sets or things like that. So that's one of the things BRE have begun to look at. Our goal, I guess, if you were to say we have a goal, is to make parts of BRE's data open so that people can reuse them in other applications. But in terms of what people reuse it for, I think that's the really nice bit that we don't know, and we'll probably be really, really surprised at what somebody uses some of the data for. And that's really good because it's something that we might never have thought of before. So that's what is the exciting part of it for us.
We're increasingly making our data sets open to the point of about to open an online training platform that will allow people not only to have our open source software but to really know how to use it. You know, all the instruction manuals and case studies, and we want to push them out there because we want to raise the quality of the industry that we're in. Why be in an industry where you're the top player but actually the average is dragged down by the quality of the people around you? Much better to be in an industry where the average is higher and you can still be the top player.
So we start with the premise that open data can no longer be the sole preserve of technically minded, IT skilled people. It needs to be out there in the general domain, accessible to all so that its benefits can be widely realized. So we start from three basic premises. Number one, open data needs to be fully understood. Number two, it needs to be simple to open and put out there. And number three, it needs to be useful. And for that, we built a simple application generator and a series of template applications which take any open data set in the Citadel format and instantly turn it into a mapping app that you can use, that you can see, that you can begin to explore and play with.
I think that the key is getting all the data in a similar format, a machine readable, similar standardized format, which can be open or closed. And it's not two different types of data sets, but one data set, and it's just as a flip of a switch that you can turn it open or closed. And I think that's the key. And giving, making sure that the standardized format meets all the requirements of security concerns in the energy sector, but allows, seamless integration with people who want to add value to it.
I think there's a whole other area of open data that construction and indeed councils can take advantage of, which is in data which is actually already collected by other national organisations. Census, health, crime. Those people-focused data sets give a vast amount of data as to what's going on in a particular area, which no other organisation can make available to you and can't be collected. If community engagement's important, if consultation is part of the process that you're going through, which I'm pretty sure is the case for all large construction companies, being able to understand the area you are trying to build in or want to build in is of huge benefit. Knowing the socio-economic breakdown, knowing the health status, knowing the history and the changes in crime and the recording of crime in that particular area. All of these things help create an evidence base.
I would like to see a lot more involvement of non-construction professions in construction, and I mean by that just that the influence or the activity in construction from software houses or data scientists to be able to put in ideas in place, because I think one of the nice things by 2025 I would say is that while there's a clear roadmap, I think along the way I think that roadmap will become hugely enhanced, because there will be something that comes up which we haven't thought about, or that I haven't even had an idea about. I think that's the really exciting part. I mean,
the community is truly engaged. Change happens, and often projects are enriched by the input the community can give. Is open data able to help us on that?
The big thing, or the missing piece of the puzzle, is that the public and people who aren't within your organisation or even your industry will see things that which you will not. People who aren't hidebound by the industries and the areas we work in will look at something you release and see a completely different benefit. And you will as an organisation, you would never be able to think of that benefit, but members of the public will. They will see, for instance, we as a local authority did some work to release simple information around where all of our licensed premises are. So if you're a licensed premise, so if you have dancing, if you have music, if you have alcohol for sale, if you any of these things, you all need different types of licensing. We released that information, and a member of the public saw an opportunity to create a restaurant app.
In the construction industry, the more information you can gather, the more you can make projects focused on ultimately the people who are going to buy and live in those homes. The more you know about them, their local area, the easier it is to construct projects which match their needs and which make for happier, better developments and also drive your commercial benefit in the future.
I love the idea of happiness indices of every one of our customers, and you're looking to map that and see, where it's high, what are the reasons why it's high, where it's maybe not quite so high, what's going on, because obviously we do use these metrics, like I say, building for life. But yeah, the happiness index of our customers, we're on board.
And also, that might be something as simple as getting your customers to engage with you over a longer time frame once they bought the house, about how they feel living in the house, so that a house is making someone feel particularly good when they're in these kind of rooms, or great when they're walking around this aspect of the outside. Just getting people to give you that kind of feedback, which becomes open data, gives everyone a better idea of how to build houses that make people happy, which is ultimately the way to sell more houses.
There are some places where it does work, and an interesting one, which is a company in the US company called O-Power, you may have heard of. This is the type of service that they provide. Again, they're a third-party service that partner with utility companies, and it's basically showing you your energy consumption compared to your neighbours or other types of buildings which are the similar as yours, maybe similar size and number, your children are the same age. And this is competition element of actually I'm the only one in this neighbourhood who's using twice as much energy as everyone else. That's embarrassing. So I'm going to reduce my demand. There needs to be more companies, especially in the UK and Europe, that can give this sort of access to customers, and it's just difficult because you need to get these bespoke partnership arrangements with licensed suppliers. Each supplier, each region, you need to, globally you need to do it, rather than, if you're developing an app to go on an app store, you build it once, you put it on an app store, it's done. That's where we need to get to in terms of, on a service provider, creating these interesting applications. It needs to be just as simple as developing an app and putting it on an app store.
So, talking to a large established UK housing developer, the question is there an opportunity for open data to improve our work?
I think there is. I think this has been a learning experience for me, so I thank you both for that. I can see value in it 100% on all the streams that we've kind of discussed.
If you focus and really commit to doing things with open data and big data, the benefits, I think, are shown to be huge, absolutely huge.
If a young person, a young student, today wants to enter the energy sector, what's your one word of advice you'd give them?
Study computer science, because energy will be a subset of the internet and data, and not the other way around.
It has the most fantastic opportunities for living, health, culture, innovation, the spirit of a place, all the things that we cherish from history that we regret when we can't find them in the present could be part of a future, but only if we change the way that we're doing things at the moment. And that actually there's a massive goal there, and if we can change the tools that we work with, change the processes that we use those tools in, take advantage of the digital then there's a big prize.